Hey friends, it's Heather. Wanted to talk about calcium today because I still see a ton of questions out there about calcium for vegans, where we get it, how much we need, and some stuff about osteoporosis. So we're going to talk about all that. I have been allergic to dairy milk since I was born. So obviously my mom started me on breast milk, but I've never had cow's milk for my life. And I'm doing pretty good. I'm not like, I don't have floppy bones. I've never broken a bone. I have once chipped, just a little chip off a bone right here from falling really hard on the ice. So I also, for most of my life, was a competitive figure skater. So I've been doing a lot of weight-bearing exercise, jumps. Like I jump up in the air, spin around a couple times, and land. So that actually really helps build bone density, and we'll circle back to that when we start talking about osteoporosis. But I say this because I've lived my life without drinking milk, so it's possible. And plants, it turns out, are actually one of the best sources of calcium because there are high levels in things like beans, legumes, which include lentils and peas and soybeans. So those are all really rich sources of calcium, as well as dark green leafy vegetables, broccoli, spinach, and nuts and seeds, almonds, sesame seeds. So these things are all really rich in calcium, and the best part is they're also rich in magnesium, potassium, and vitamin K, 3 nutrients that your body needs in its system in order to actually use that calcium. So that's why plants are actually a better source than cow's milk, and some people are starting to recognize this. There's an article that was posted in, where was it? Harvard School of Public Health, recommending plant sources of calcium, which is awesome because dairy also has some negative health connotations. It's a major trigger of acne, allergies, like myself, intolerances. So the difference between an allergy and intolerance, an allergy could be any kind of reaction, like I get ear infections. But an intolerance is when you can't digest it, so it's usually just vomiting or diarrhea, which isn't very pleasant. And joint pain. And that's not even talking about the cruelty of the dairy industry, which I'll let you look into on your own if you wish, but we're just going to talk about calcium today. So there is a theory running around out there that dairy intake and meat intake acidifies your body, which then pulls calcium, which is an alkalizing mineral, from your body. And so you therefore, if you eat meat or drink dairy, your net calcium is going to go down, which hasn't been found to be true. So in studies, what they find is, although they see more calcium going out in people's urine, it's not showing less bone density. So essentially, yes, we are flushing some calcium out through our pee, but it's not coming from our bones. So one theory that's linked to from Dr. Greger's Nutrition Facts site, which I'm sure lots of you have been onto, and if not, go check it out. I'll post a link down below to what I'm talking about. But what their theory now is that the protein actually helps calcium absorption. So if you eat really high levels of protein, your body has too much to handle, so it has to shoot it out somewhere, and the easiest way is out through your pee. So the excess protein is having an effect and is sending calcium out of your body, but it's not pulling it from your bones. So let's just not talk about that theory anymore. There are lots of reasons to not choose dairy, and that one has not been proven correct. So let's just focus on the other ones, which are cruelty, acne, joint pain, and allergies and intolerances. So how much calcium do we actually need? So when I was little, my mom made me take calcium supplements because we weren't drinking milk. So all the doctors were telling us you have to take calcium supplements. The daily recommended intake is 1,000 milligrams per day. If you're over 50, that goes up to 1,300 milligrams per day. And we get a fair amount from our food, particularly if we're eating those rich food sources of calcium: beans, legumes, dark green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds. An average vegan diet gets about 500 to 600 milligrams of calcium per day. When I do the nutritional breakdown for my meal plans, I'm usually about 600 to 700 milligrams per day. So it doesn't quite meet the RDA for calcium. And there's a good reason for that. Calcium is a really large molecule, and it's often found in foods that are rich in calories. So if we're not eating a full 2,000 calories per day, we're usually not getting quite that RDA of calcium. I do know a lot of friends who don't take any calcium supplements and their calcium levels always come out fine. But I am not proud. I don't have a big ego, and I would rather be healthy than be a purist and not take supplements. So I take a calcium supplement, but I take just a little one. So because I know I get about 600 to 700 milligrams of calcium from my food, I only take 300 milligrams per day of calcium. Bonus of taking a calcium supplement is if you take it in the evening, it can actually help your sleep, and it can help with muscle cramps or muscle stiffness. And I run a lot, and I do yoga and strength workouts, so I like it. And the thing is, there's no downside of taking extra calcium. Unless you take 1,400 milligrams or more, there's actually no downside. So just a small calcium supplement each day. Make sure you cover your bases, and in case you didn't eat all of the calcium-rich foods that one day, it's kind of like your backup source, right? So your best source of calcium is from high-quality, high-calcium plant foods with a little bit of a supplement as a boost. Now, some thoughts on osteoporosis, because I know that's a big concern, particularly for women. And one thing that we're not often told until it's too late is that weight-bearing exercise is super important for building and maintaining bone density. So, like I said, when I was younger, I was a competitive figure skater, so I hopefully have a decent amount of bone density built up. We reach peak bone mass somewhere in our early 30s, and I'm past that now. My birthday was last week, and I just turned 36, which seems crazy. I don't feel 36 at all. Actually, last night I got together with some friends to practice roller skate dancing in a parking garage. So that doesn't really sound like 36 to me. But anyway, in terms of my bone density, I am now on the downturn side. So from here, I'm just going to be slowly losing bone mass as I age. And I'm going to do everything I possibly can to slow that down or prevent it, because I think you can somewhat plateau, at least for a bit anyway. So to do that, eat good foods, take a little bit of a calcium supplement. Also vitamin D, super important for working with those other nutrients. So I also mentioned vitamin K, magnesium, and potassium. Vitamin D is another one that your body needs in order to absorb and utilize that calcium. So I also take a vitamin D supplement. Again, I am not interested in being egotistical or purist. I just want to be healthy. So I take a little bit of a vitamin D supplement as well. I get out into the sun, which when your skin is exposed to the sun, it does create vitamin D. But again, there's no harm in taking a little bit of a supplement, so I'd rather be safe than sorry. So good foods, a little bit of calcium, a little bit of vitamin D, and weight-bearing exercise. So those are all really key components to building your bone mass up until early 30s, and then preventing bone mass loss as you get older. Now, another thing I will mention is that osteoporosis is very strongly linked to your heredity. So, for instance, my mom's mom had osteoporosis. So my mom is very susceptible to osteoporosis right now. She is losing bone density, even though she's doing everything perfectly. And I'm probably going to have the same issue. So that's why I'm starting now to, focus on this and make sure that I don't lose much bone density. And then the other thing my mom is doing that's really cool is she's working with a personal trainer on both strength building and weight-bearing exercise, but also balance, because she does have a little bit of a tendency to fall. But she's gotten so much better in the last few years, so it's awesome, because obviously one of our biggest sources of broken bones is falling. So I hope that answers some of your questions about calcium. I'm going to link to 2 amazing resources that I always turn to for the nutritional info and research, and that is Nutrition Facts with Michael Greger and Vegan Health with Jack Norris. So they both have excellent articles about calcium for vegans and how to prevent osteoporosis, as well as a lot of videos on Michael Greger's site, so you can get lost in those. If you want some recipes that are high in calcium from plant foods, check out my website at Veganic, and also my new book, which you can pre-order right now. If you have any questions about calcium, leave them in the comments. Leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, and we will talk soon. Bye, guys.
Vegan, yeah.